we already talked about the first part of the paradox.
Mm-hmm.
So one horn of it is the vastness of space and the high probability that life is out there.
Yeah.
Okay, we already talked about that. Well, the other part of the paradox is that, well, if it's so likely that they exist, then how come
Where's the evidence?
we don't have any evidence of any of them existing?
Why haven't we heard about them or contacted them, or they haven't contacted us?
Yeah, and there's a ton of different ways to address the paradox. So one way that we've already talked about is like they are hesitant to deal with us, right? Didn't we mention that?
Yeah, they might not see us worth dealing with.
Right, that we are ants to them.
They're not interested in
Maybe
what we
they're
have to
waiting
offer.
for our evolution
Right.
to pick up some speed and get there.
They'll visit us in a few million.
Or we're too violent. We're not ready to join
Yeah.
the universe civilization.
Wow. They're watching to see, can they stop fighting each other? Yeah.
We aren't searching for evidence properly. That could be a thing. SETI,
The wrong kind of evidence.
or looking in the wrong spots. I mean, SETI is, again, like the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, is not able to scan. It's a vanishingly small fraction of the night sky that it's able to purposely try to collect data
Totally.
from.
Totally.
What kind of data are we looking for? You know, these are all like super complicated questions of communicating. Is there some kind of universal language that we could expect them to communicate with, like prime number sequences?
Yeah, don't you think
and
math would be the first?
binary? Yeah,
I think that's really interesting. How would you begin to even talk to them?
totally. Can we throw up on the screen a picture of this on the video?
Yeah, we'll put that up.
There's the, I want to pronounce this right, Arecibo message.
Yeah.
You gotta take a look at it. It looks like a kid, you know, the Light Bright, that little toy for kids where you stick in pegs and they
Yeah.
light up on a blackboard.
So
It looks like that. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous looking that this is what we sent an intelligent potential species. But it's laced with meaning in terms of binary.
And what, we sent this on is it part of Voyager? When did we send this out? Or was it like a data burst that we sent out?
Oops. That was a message we sent out in 1974 toward a galaxy, I think.
Like physically just launched
Well,
it out
I don't know
there?
about physically.
Or it's just
A
we
data
went,
burst. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't know.
Well, like,
Radio signals or something.
yeah.
Okay.
They are here unacknowledged. Maybe they're among us.
Oh, that's an answer to the Fermi Paradox?
Yeah.
Right. Right.
The one that I've heard most commonly, and has some oomph to it, is that civilizations don't last long enough.
Right. Just because as much as we think about the vastness of space, physically how big it is, it's also really freaking old. Like, Neil deGrasse Tyson does this thing in his Cosmos about the cosmic calendar, from the beginning of the universe to today. Yeah. If you were to scale that whole time scale down to be a 12-month year, like a calendar year, humans come on the scene 30 seconds before midnight, or like 10 seconds before midnight on December 31st at the end of the year. Like, we have just woken up and gone, oops, we're here. Now what? What's going on?
Yeah.
We only just came on the scene. There are 12 other months where other civilizations could have arisen, destroyed themselves, gone extinct. Who knows? And we
and
never
how
would
things
have
are
known
exponentially happening now too.
Yeah.
It's so hard to fathom what 20 or 2200 will be like.
Yeah, it's unthinkable. Yeah.
So there's that angle where it's super vast and it would take a long time to visit other places. But also, like, the more worrisome and maybe like a practical thing we can begin to think about is I take it to mean, and of course others do too, that civilizations don't last long enough because they end up cannibalizing. It destroys itself. So probably other civilizations would encounter the notion of atoms. If they're good enough to spacefarer, it's probably going to involve some nuclear reactions.
Yeah.
Understanding, here's the periodic table of elements. These aren't changing. This is fundamentally part of the universe.
What we have to deal with.
Yeah, and that was part of that message that they sent out, like recognizing that we know about carbon.
Right.
That's a thing.
We found carbon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has the same amount of protons here as it will across the galaxy.
Yep, on Tatooine.
Yeah, man. And so like we kind of just found out about that there's elements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When? Do you know when?
No,
When
I
was
don't.
the periodic table?
Well, I mean, there's some Greek philosophers were atomists.
Sure.
Just like they're
The smallest possible unit of matter.
Right,
We're trying to figure out.
Yeah, we're always on the hunt for that. So, and we have struggled to handle it well.
That knowledge, it's caused a lot of
a
destruction.
nuclear bomb has gone off. I don't want to get into the politics of it or whether that was right or wrong.
But it happened.
It happened, and hundreds of thousands of people died. Right now, as we're filming, like Reddit is abuzz with worry
World War III.
about World War III.
Yeah.
And that could happen. I don't know. It's just any civilization that's going to make it has to get through this period of nuclear capability and peace at the same time. And it's going to be tough. I mean, you could see if it gets into the wrong hands, it's really, really bad. I mean, everyone can agree with that, right?
Yeah.
You only need a few bad actors to
and
really
the whole thing comes crumbling
screw
down.
it up. So the idea is that the reason we haven't seen them is because it just takes so darn long to get to the point where you can send a emissary to make contact. Because it doesn't matter. As long as you send the emissary, then we don't care what happens back home in terms of making contact or evidence, right?
What do you mean?
For human beings to discover evidence that there is alien life, we don't need that civilization to have lasted a second longer than that spaceship left their planet.
We only need the travelers.
Yeah.
And we'll go, they are out here.
Yeah. But that up until then, that's still a long time. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
And so, it's just that's a thought.
Yep.
As well. So, look that up sometime. Answers to the Fermi Paradox.
Yeah, it's interesting.